Has New Zealand just poked the Chinese dragon? In a move that sent ripples across the Pacific, New Zealand's naval vessel HMNZS Aotearoa boldly sailed through the contested Taiwan Strait on September 25, 2024. This wasn't just any routine naval exercise. It was New Zealand's most provocative maritime maneuver since 2017. The Aotearoa, one of the few ships in New Zealand's modest navy, found itself in the company of an Australian destroyer, brazenly challenging China's claims to dominion over this crucial waterway. Prime Minister Christopher Luxon, in an exclusive interview with The Economist, attempted to downplay the significance of this nautical adventure. He claimed it was merely the quickest way for the ship to sail from the East China Sea to the South China Sea. But was this really just a maritime shortcut, or a calculated geopolitical chess move? The timing couldn't be more suspicious. With tensions in the region at a fever pitch, New Zealand's decision to navigate these troubled waters alongside its Five Eyes ally Australia seems far from coincidental. Is this the beginning of a new era in New Zealand's foreign policy, or a dangerous flirtation with superpower conflict? Luxon's Grand Reset. Is New Zealand abandoning its independent foreign policy? Christopher Luxon, the former Air New Zealand CEO turned Prime Minister, has embarked on what he calls a foreign policy reset since taking office in November 2023. But is this reset more of a radical overhaul? Luxon's strategy has two key pillars that are shaking the foundations of New Zealand's traditionally cautious approach to international relations. First, there's a push to diversify New Zealand's diplomatic and trade relationships, reducing its heavy reliance on China. On the surface, this seems like a prudent move for a small nation dependent on international trade. But dig deeper, and you'll find the second, more controversial element of Luxon's plan, bringing New Zealand into closer alignment with its Five Eyes partners, particularly the United States. This shift marks a seismic change in New Zealand's global positioning. For decades, the country has prided itself on its semi-aligned status, carefully navigating between major powers. Now Luxon seems prepared to steer New Zealand closer to America than at any point since the two nations' alliance fractured in 1986. Is this a necessary adaptation to a changing world order, or a dangerous abandonment of New Zealand's independent foreign policy? From Kiwis to Hawks, can New Zealand's military punch above its weight? As Luxon charts a more assertive course for New Zealand on the global stage, a glaring question emerges. Can New Zealand's military back up this newfound bravado? The country's defense forces are dwarfed by those of its allies and potential adversaries alike. With an army that can barely muster a brigade, an air force that gave up fighter jets long ago, and a navy reduced to just 8 ships, one of which recently sank off Samoa, New Zealand's military might seems more like a mouse that roared than a formidable fighting force. Yet Luxon's government is undeterred. A new defense capabilities plan is set to be released, which could reveal just how serious New Zealand is about flexing its military muscle. Will we see investments in high-end capabilities like frigates, signaling a readiness to join Australia and America in upholding the rules-based order? Or will the focus remain on small patrol boats, suggesting a more localized neighborhood watch approach to defense? The choices made in this plan will speak volumes about New Zealand's future role in regional security. Is Luxon preparing to turn the Kiwis into hawks, or is this all just diplomatic posturing? The Five Eyes widening. Is New Zealand becoming America's new best friend in the Pacific? New Zealand's recent naval maneuvers and Luxon's diplomatic overtures signal a potential shift in the dynamics of the Five Eyes intelligence alliance. Long considered the outsider of the group due to its nuclear-free stance and subsequent falling out with the U.S., New Zealand now appears to be inching closer to its Anglosphere partners. The country's intelligence services, despite their small size, have maintained a solid reputation among Five Eyes members. But it's in the realm of defense cooperation where New Zealand has lagged behind. Now, with increased participation in multinational task forces and hints at joining the second pillar of the AUKUS Pact focused on advanced defense technologies, is New Zealand positioning itself as America's new best friend in the Pacific? This realignment raises critical questions. Is New Zealand sacrificing its strategic autonomy for a seat at the big boys' table? Or is this a necessary evolution in a world where China's influence continues to expand, even reaching New Zealand's own backyard in the Pacific Islands? The China conundrum. Can New Zealand have its cake and eat it too? As New Zealand cozies up to its Western allies, the elephant, or rather the dragon in the room, cannot be ignored. China remains New Zealand's largest trading partner, accounting for a whopping 27% of its exports. The free trade agreement signed in 2008 has been a cornerstone of New Zealand's economic prosperity, shielding it from the worst effects of the global financial crisis. But this economic reliance comes with strings attached. New Zealand has already had to grapple with Chinese attempts to interfere in its politics, leading to crackdowns on foreign campaign donations and tighter investment screening processes. Now, as Luxon's government takes a more assertive stance in regional security matters, the question looms. Can New Zealand maintain its lucrative economic relationship with China while aligning more closely with China's geopolitical rivals? The delicate balancing act becomes even more precarious when considering China's recent moves in the Pacific Islands and Antarctica. New Zealand can no longer afford to be a mere bystander in regional geopolitics. But can it really have its cake and eat it too, maintaining economic ties with China while challenging its territorial ambitions? The Luxon Doctrine. Is New Zealand's new PM flying too close to the sun? Christopher Luxon's approach to foreign policy bears the unmistakable mark of his previous career as CEO of Air New Zealand. In just 10 months in office, he has embarked on a whirlwind tour of diplomatic engagement, visiting the United States, Japan, South Korea, and half of Southeast Asia. Each trip involves at least a 12-hour flight from Wellington, a punishing schedule that would leave most politicians jet-lagged and disoriented. But Luxon seems to thrive on this high-flying diplomacy. His energy and ambition are reshaping New Zealand's place in the world at breakneck speed. The question is he flying too close to the sun? Luxon's bold moves on the international stage, from naval maneuvers to diplomatic realignments, carry significant risks. One wrong move could see New Zealand caught in the crossfire of great power competition or facing economic retaliation from a spurned China. As Luxon pilots New Zealand through these turbulent geopolitical skies, the world watches with bated breath. Will his ambitious foreign policy elevate New Zealand's global standing, or will it lead to a spectacular crash landing? Subscribe for more.